Part 1.
Chapter 1. The Hills Above the Umzimkulu. There is a lovely road that runs from Isupu into the hills. These hills are grass-covered and rolling, and they are too lovely to describe. The road climbs 11 kilometers into them, to Carisbrooke, and from there, if there is no mist, you look down on one of the fairest valleys of Africa. About you there is grass, and you may hear the forlorn crying of the titihoya, one of the birds of the grasslands. Below you is the valley of the Umzimkulu, on its journey from the Drakensberg Mountains to the sea, and beyond and behind the river, great hill after great hill, and beyond and behind them, the mountains of Ingeli and East Griqualand. The grass is rich and thick. You cannot see the soil. It holds the rain and the mist, and they sink slowly into the ground, feeding the streams in every small valley. It is well looked after, and not too many cattle feed upon it. Not too many fires burn it, damaging the soil. Stand upon it without shoes, for the ground is holy, being just as it came from God. Keep it, guard it, care for it keeps men, guards men, cares for men. Destroy it, and man is destroyed. Where you stand, the grass is rich and thick. You cannot see the soil, but the rich green hills break down. They fall to the valley below, and, falling, change their nature. For they grow red and empty. They cannot hold the rain and mist, and the streams are dry in the small valleys. Too many cattle feed upon the grass, and too many fires have burned it. Do not stand upon it without shoes, for it is rough and sharp, and the stones cut under the feet. It is not kept, or guarded, or cared for. It no longer keeps men, guards men, cares for men. The titihoya does not cry here any more. The great red hills stand empty, and the earth has torn away like flesh. The lightning flashes over them, the clouds pour down upon them, the dead streams come to life, full of the red blood of the earth. Down in the valleys women struggle to work the soil that is left, and the corn hardly reaches the height of a man. They are valleys of old men and old women, of mothers and children. The men are away. The young men and the girls are away. The soil cannot keep them any more. Chapter 2. The Letter. The small child ran importantly to the wood and iron church with the letter in her hand. Next to the church was a house, and she knocked shyly on the door. The Reverend Stephen Khumalo looked up from the table where he was writing, and he called, "Come in." The small child opened the door carefully, like one who is afraid to open carelessly the door of so important a house, and stepped shyly in. "I bring a letter, Umfundisi." "A letter, eh? Where did you get it, my child?"
"From the store, Umfundisi. The white man asked me to bring it to you."
"That was good of you. Go well, small one." But she did not go at once. She rubbed one foot against the other. She rubbed one finger along the edge of the Umfundisi's table. "Perhaps you might be hungry, small one."
"Not very hungry, Umfundisi."
"Perhaps a little hungry."
"Yes, a little hungry, Umfundisi."
"Go to the mother, then. Perhaps she has some food."
"I thank you, Umfundisi."
She walked delicately, as though her feet might do harm in so great a house with tables and chairs, and a clock, and a plant in a pot, and many books, more even than the books at the school. Khumalo looked at his letter. It was dirty. It had been in many hands, no doubt. It came from Johannesburg. Now, there in Johannesburg were many of his own people. His brother John, who was a carpenter, had gone there, and had a business of his own. His sister Gertrude, 25 years younger than he, and the child of his parents' old age, had gone there with her small son to look for the husband who had never come back from the mines. His only child, Absalom, had gone there to look for his aunt Gertrude, and he had never returned. And indeed, many other relatives were there, though none so near as these. It was hard to say from whom this letter came, for it was so long since any of these had written that one did not well remember their writing. He turned the letter over, but there was nothing to show from whom it came. He was unwilling to open it, for, once such a thing is opened, it cannot be shut again. He called to his wife, "Has the child gone?"
She is eating, Stephen.
"Let her eat, then. She brought a letter. Do you know anything about a letter?"
How should I know, Stephen?
"No, that I do not know. Look at it." She took the letter and felt it, but there was nothing in the touch of it to tell from whom it might be. She read out the address slowly and carefully. Reverend Stephen Khumalo, St. Mark's Church, Ndotsheni, Natal. She gathered up her courage and said, "It is not from our son." "No," he said, "it is not from our son."
Perhaps it concerns him, she said.
"Yes," he said, "that may be so."
It is not from Gertrude,
she said. "Perhaps it is my brother John."
It is not from John,
she said. They were silent, and she said,
How we desire such a letter, and when it comes, we fear to open it.
"Who is afraid?" he said. "Open it." She opened it, slowly and carefully, for she did not open many letters. She spread it out open and read it slowly and carefully, so that he did not hear all that she said. "Read it out loud," he said. She read it, reading as a Zulu who reads English.
The Mission House, Sophiatown, Johannesburg. September the 25th, 1946. My dear brother in Christ, I have had the experience of meeting a young woman here in Johannesburg. Her name is Gertrude Khumalo, and I understand she is the sister of the Reverend Stephen Khumalo, St. Mark's Church, Ndotsheni. This young woman is very sick, and therefore I ask you to come quickly to Johannesburg. Come to the Reverend Theophilus Msimangu, the Mission House, Sophiatown, and there I shall give you some advice. I shall also find a place for you to live, where the cost will not be very serious. I am, dear brother in Christ, yours faithfully, Theophilus Msimangu.
They were both silent, till at long last she spoke.
Well, my husband.
"Yes? What is it?"
This letter, Stephen. You have heard it now.
"Yes, I have heard it. It is not an easy letter."
It is not an easy letter. What will you do?
"Has the child eaten?" She went to the kitchen and came back with the child. "Have you eaten, my child?"
Yes, Mfundisi.
"Then go well, my child, and thank you for bringing the letter."
Stay well, Mfundisi. Stay well, mother. Go well, my child.
So the child went delicately to the door and shut it behind her gently, letting the handle turn slowly, like one who fears to let it turn fast. When the child had gone, she asked,
What will you do, Stephen?
"About what, my wife?" She said patiently to him,
About this letter, Stephen.
He thought for a moment. "Bring me the St. Chad's money," he said. She went out and came back with a tin, of the kind in which they sell coffee, and this she gave to him. He held it in his hand, studying it, as though there might be some answer in it, till at last she said,
It must be done, Stephen.
"How can I use it?" he said. "This money was to send Absalom to St. Chad's College."
Absalom will never go now to St. Chad's.
"How can you say that?" he said sharply. "How can you say such a thing?"
He is in Johannesburg, she said wearily. When people go to Johannesburg, they do not come back.
"You have said it," he said. "It is said now. This money which was saved for that purpose will never be used for it. You have opened a door, and because you have opened it, we must go through, and God alone knows where we shall go."
It was not I who opened it, she said, hurt by his words. It has a long time been open, but you would not see.
"We had a son," he said with feeling. "Zulus have many children, but we had only one son. He went to Johannesburg, and as you said, when people go to Johannesburg, they do not come back. They do not go to St. Chad's to learn that knowledge without which no black man can live. They go to Johannesburg, and there they are lost, and no one hears of them at all. And this money—"
You are hurting yourself, she said.
"Hurting myself? Hurting myself? I do not hurt myself. It is they who are hurting me. My own son, my own sister, my own brother. They go away, and they do not write any more. Perhaps it does not seem to them that we suffer. Perhaps they do not care." His voice rose into loud and angry words, till she cried out at him,
You are hurting me also.
He came to himself, and said to her quietly, "That I may not do." He held out the tin to her. "Open it," he said. With shaking hands, she took the tin and opened it. She emptied it out over the table, some old and dirty notes, and a flood of small change. She counted it slowly.
£12, 5 shillings, and 7 pence.
"I shall take," he said, £8, and the shillings and pence."
Take it all, Stephen. There may be doctors, hospitals, other troubles. Take it all. And take the post office book. There is £10 in it. You must take that also.
"I have been saving that for your oven," he said.
That cannot be helped, she said. And that other money, though we saved it for St. Chad's, I had meant it for your new black clothes, and a new black hat, and new white collars.
"That cannot be helped either. Let me see. I shall go."
Tomorrow, she said, from Carisbrook.
He rose heavily to his feet, and went and stood before her. "I am sorry I hurt you," he said. "I shall go and pray in the church." He went out of the door, and she watched him through the little window, walking slowly to the door of the church. Then she sat down at his table, and put her head on it, and was silent, with the patient suffering of black women, with the suffering of working animals, with the suffering of any that are mute. All roads lead to Johannesburg. Through the long nights the trains pass to Johannesburg. The lights of the moving coach fall on the grass and the stones of a country that sleeps. Happy the eyes that can close. Chapter 3. Departure from Ndoceni. It is interesting to wait for the train at Carisbrooke while it climbs up out of the great valley. Those who know can tell you with each whistle where it is, at what road, what farm, what river. But though Stephen Khumalo has been there a full hour before he needs, he does not listen to these things. This is a long way to go, and a lot of money to pay. And who knows how sick his sister may be, and what money that may cost. And if he has to bring her back, what will that cost too? And Johannesburg is a great city. With so many streets, they say that a man can spend his days going up one and down another, and never the same one twice. One must catch buses too, but not as here, where the only bus that comes is the right bus. For there are so many buses, and only one bus in 10, one bus in 20 maybe, is the right bus. If you take the wrong bus, you may travel to quite some other place, and they say it is dangerous to cross the street. But one needs to cross it. For there, a woman of Ndoceni, who had gone there when her husband was dying, saw her son killed in the street. 12 years old and moved by excitement, he stepped out into danger, but she stopped for a moment, and under her eyes the great lorry crushed the life out of her son. And the great fear, too, the greatest fear since it was so rarely spoken. Where was their son? Why did he not write any more? There is a last whistle, and the train is near at last. As all country trains in South Africa are, it was full of black travellers. On this train, indeed, there were not many others, for the Europeans of this district all have their cars and hardly travel by train any more. Khumalo climbed into the section for non-Europeans, already full of people of his race. The day was warm and the smell strong, but Khumalo was a humble man and did not much care. The train whistled and suddenly pulled forward. The journey had begun. And now the fear back again, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the great city where boys were killed crossing the street, the fear of Gertrude's sickness. Deep down, the fear for his son. Deep down, the fear of a man who lives in a world not made for him, whose own world is slipping away, dying, being destroyed, beyond any recall. The humble man reached in his pocket for his holy book and began to read. It was this world alone that was certain. Chapter 4. Arrival in Johannesburg. The train thundered on all through the night, and Khumalo woke to the half-light before the dawn. This is a new country, a strange country, rolling and rolling away as far as the eye can see. There are new names here, hard for a Zulu who speaks English, for they are in the language that is called Afrikaans, a language that he has never yet heard spoken. "The mines!" the men sitting near him cry. "The mines!" For many of them are going to work in the mines. "Are these the mines, those white flat hills in the distance?" "That is the rock out of the mines, Umfundisi. The gold has been taken out of it." "How does the rock come out?" "We go down under the ground and dig it out, Umfundisi. And when it is hard to dig, we go away, and the white men blow it out with the fire sticks. Then we come back and clear it away. We load it, and it goes up in a cage." "How does it go up?" "It is wound up by a great wheel. There is a wheel, Umfundisi, there is a wheel." a great iron structure rising into the air and a great wheel above it. Great buildings, and steam blowing out of pipes, and men hurrying about. An endless line of lorries, motor cars, buses, one great confusion. "Is that Johannesburg?" he asks. They laugh. "That is nothing," they say. "In Johannesburg there are buildings so high." But they cannot describe them. Railway lines, railway lines. It is a wonder. To the left, to the right, so many that he cannot count. A train rushes past them and makes him jump in his seat. The buildings get higher, the streets more uncountable. How does one find one's way in such a confusion? It is getting dark, and the lights are coming on in the streets. One of the men points for him.
"Johannesburg, Umfundisi."
He sees great high buildings. The train stops under a great roof, and there are thousands of people. Steps go down into the earth, and here is a path under the ground. Black people, white people, so many that the path is full. He comes out into a great hall and goes up the steps, and here he is out in the street. The noise is frightening. Cars and buses, one behind the other, more than he has ever imagined. His heart beats like that of a child. "God watch over me," he says to himself. "God watch over me." A young man came to him and said,
"Where do you want to go, Umfundisi?"
"To Sophiatown, young man."
"Come with me then, and I shall show you."
He was grateful for this kindness, but half of him was afraid. He was confused by the many turnings that they made under the high buildings, but at last they came to a place of many buses.
"You must stand in the line, Umfundisi. Have you your money for the ticket?"
Quickly, eagerly, as though he must show this young man that he appreciated his kindness, he put down his bag and took out his purse. He was nervous to ask how much it was, and took £1 from the purse.
"Shall I get the ticket for you, Umfundisi? Then you need not lose your place in the line while I go to the ticket office."
"Thank you," he said. The young man took the £1 and walked a short distance to the corner. As he turned it, Khumalo was afraid. The line moved forward and he with it, and again forward, and again forward, and soon he must enter a bus, but still he had no ticket. He left the line and walked to the corner, but there was no sign of the young man. He sought courage to speak to someone, and went to an elderly man, decently and cleanly dressed. "Where is the ticket office, my friend?"
"What ticket office, Umfundisi?"
"For the ticket for the bus."
"You get your ticket on the bus. There is no ticket office."
The man looked a decent man, and the priest spoke to him respectfully.
"I gave £1 to a young man," he said, "and he told me he would get my ticket at the ticket office." "You have been cheated, Umfundisi. Can you see the young man?" "No, you will not see him again. Look, come with me. Where are you going? Sophiatown?" "Yes, Sophiatown. To the mission house." "Oh, yes, I know it well. I shall come with you myself. Do you know the Reverend Umsimangu?" "Indeed, I have a letter from him." They again took the last place in the line, and in time they took their places in the bus. They got off at a small street and walked a great distance until at last they stopped before a house with lights on and knocked. The door was opened by a tall young man in priest's dress. "Mr. Msimangu, I bring a friend to you, the Reverend Khumalo from Ndocheni."
Come in, my friends. Mr. Khumalo, I am glad to greet you. You are no doubt hungry, Mr. Khumalo. Mr. Mafolo, will you stay for some food?" But Mr. Mafolo would not wait. The door shut after him, and Khumalo settled himself in a big chair. The room was light. The great confusing town was shut out, and Khumalo was thankful. The long journey to Johannesburg was over, and he had taken a liking to this young, confident man. In good time, no doubt, they would come to discuss the reason for his journey. For the moment, it was enough to feel welcome and secure. Chapter 5. Welcome at the Mission House.
I have a place for you to sleep, my friend, in the house of an old woman, a Mrs. Lithebi, who is a good member of our church. It is cheap there, and you can have your meals with us here in the mission.
They went into a room where a table was laid, and there he met many priests, both black and white, and they sat down after a prayer and ate together. He sat next to a young, rosy-cheeked priest from England, who asked him where he came from and what it was like there. And another black priest cried out,
I am also from Isopo. My father and mother are still alive there. How is it there?
And he told them all about these places, of the great hills and valleys of that far country, and the love of them must have been in his voice, for they were all silent and listened to him. He told them too of the sickness of the land, and how the grass had disappeared, how it was a land of old men and women, and mothers and children, how the corn hardly grew to the height of a man, how the tribe was broken, and the house broken, and the man broken, how, when they went away, many never came back, many never wrote any more, how this was true not only in Ndocheni, but also in many other districts. But of Gertrude and Absalom he said nothing. So they all talked of the sickness of the land, of the broken tribe and the broken house, of young men and young girls who went away and forgot their customs, and lived loose and lazy lives. They talked of criminals, of how white Johannesburg was afraid of black crime. One of them went and got him a newspaper, the Johannesburg Mail, and showed him in large black letters, "Old couple robbed and beaten in lonely house. 4 natives arrested." "That happens nearly every day," he said. "And it is not only the Europeans who are afraid. We are also afraid right here in Sophiatown. It was not long ago that a gang of these youths attacked one of our own African girls. They took her bag and her money, and would have done worse to her too, but people came running out of the houses."
"You will learn much here," said the rosy-cheeked priest. "It is not only in your place that there is destruction, but we must talk again."
Msimangu took Khumalo to his own room, and when they had sat themselves down, Khumalo said to him, "You will pardon me if I hurry you, but I am anxious to hear about my sister."
"Yes, yes," said Msimangu. "I am sure you are anxious. You must think I am thoughtless. But you will pardon me if I ask you first, why did she come to Johannesburg?"
"She came to look for her husband, who went to work in the mines. But when his time was up, he did not return, nor did he write at all. She did not know if he were dead, perhaps. So she took her small child and went to look for him." Then, because Msimangu did not speak, he asked anxiously, "Is she very sick?"
Msimangu said seriously, "Yes, she is very sick. But it is not that kind of sickness. It is another, a worse kind of sickness. I sent for you firstly because she is a woman that is alone, and secondly because her brother is a priest. I do not know if she ever found her husband, but she has no husband now. It would be truer to say that she has many husbands."
Khumalo said, My God, oh my God.
She lives in Claremont, not far from here. It is one of the worst places in Johannesburg. After the police have been there, you can see the liquor running in the streets. You can smell it. You can smell nothing else, wherever you go in that place. This is bad liquor here, made strong with all manner of things that our people have never used. And that is her work. She makes and sells it. I shall hide nothing from you, though it is painful for me. These women sleep with any man for their price. A man has been killed at her place. They bet and drink and fight. She has been in prison more than once. He leant back in his chair and moved a book forward and backwards on the table. This is terrible news for you, he said. Khumalo nodded without speaking. At last, Khumalo said, Where is the child? The child is there, but it is no place for a child, and that too is why I sent for you. Perhaps if you cannot save the mother, you can save the child.
Where is this place?
It is not far from here. I shall take you tomorrow.
I have another great sorrow.
But then he tried to speak and could not. So Msimango said to him, Take your time, my brother.
It is not easy. It is our greatest sorrow.
A son, maybe, or a daughter?
It is a son. Absalom was his name. He too went away to look for my sister, but he never returned, nor after a while did he write any more. Our letters, his mother's and mine, all came back to us, and now, after what you tell me, I am still more afraid.
We shall try to find him, my brother. Perhaps your sister will know. You are tired, and I should take you to the room I have got for you.
They rose, and Khumalo said, It is my habit to pray in the church. Maybe you will show me.
It is on the way.
Khumalo said humbly, Maybe you will pray for me.
I shall do it gladly. My brother, I have of course my work to do, but so long as you are here, my hands are yours.
You are kind. Something in his voice must have touched Msimango, for he said,
I am not kind. I am a sinful man, but God put his hands on me, that is all.
He picked up Khumalo's bag, but before they reached the door, Khumalo stopped him. I have one more thing to tell you. I have a brother also, here in Johannesburg. He too does not write any more. John Khumalo, a carpenter.
Msimango smiled. I know him, he said. He is too busy to write. He is one of our great politicians.
A politician? My brother?
Yes, he is a great man in politics.
Msimango paused.
I hope I shall not hurt you further. Your brother has no use for the church any more. He says that what God has not done for South Africa, man must do. That is what he says.
This is a bitter journey.
I can believe it.
Sometimes I fear, what will the bishop say when he hears one of his priests?
What can a bishop say? Something is happening that no bishop can stop. Who can stop these things from happening? They must go on.
How can you say so? How can you say they must go on?
They must go on, said Msimango seriously. You cannot stop the world from going on. My friend, I am a Christian. It is not in my heart to hate the white man. It was a white man who brought my father out of darkness. But you will pardon me if I talk frankly to you. The problem is not that things are broken. The problem is that they are not repaired again. The white man has broken the tribe, and it is my belief that it cannot be repaired again. But the house that is broken, and the man that falls apart when the house is broken. These are terrible things. That is why children break the law, and old white people are robbed and beaten." He passed his hand across the top of his face. "It suited the white man to break the tribe, but it has not suited him to build something in the place of what is broken. I have thought about this for many hours, and must speak it, for it is the truth for me. They are not all so. There are some white men who give their lives to build up what is broken, but they are not enough. They are afraid. That is the truth. It is fear that rules this land." He laughed apologetically. "These things are too many to talk about now. They are things to talk over quietly and patiently. You must get Father Vincent to talk about them. He is a white man and can say what must be said. He is the one with the boy's cheeks, the one who wants to hear more about your country." "I remember him." "Mrs. Litabe, I bring my friend to you, the Reverend Stephen Khumalo." "Umfundisi, you are welcome. The room is small but clean." "Good night, my brother. Shall I see you in the church tomorrow at 7?
"Yes, indeed."
"Stay well, my friend. Stay well, Mrs. Litabe."
"Go well, my friend."
"Go well, Umfundisi." She took him to the small, clean room. "Sleep well, Umfundisi."
"Sleep well, mother." He stood a moment in the room. 48 hours ago, he and his wife had been packing his bag in faraway Ndotcheni. 24 hours ago, the train had been rushing through an unseen country, and now outside, the movement of people, but behind them, through them, one could hear the constant noise of a great city. Johannesburg. Johannesburg. Who could believe it? Chapter 6. Claremont, the rubbish pile of the city. It is not far to Claremont. They lie together. Sophiatown, where anyone may own property, the Western Native Township, and Claremont, the rubbish pile of the proud city. These three lie between two European districts. So they walked till they came to Claremont, and Khumalo was shocked by its dirt, how close together the houses were, and the rubbish in the streets. "Do you see that woman, my friend? She is one of the liquor sellers. They say she is one of the richest of our people in Johannesburg." "And these children?" asked Khumalo. "Why are they not at school?" "Some because they do not care, and some because their parents do not care, but many because the schools are full. But here is the house. Will you go in alone?" "It would be better."
"When you are ready, you will find me next door. There is a woman of our church there, a good woman who tries with her husband to bring up good children, but it is hard in this place." Khumalo stands alone before the door. There is laughter in the house, the kind of laughter of which one is afraid. Perhaps because one is afraid already. Perhaps because it is in truth bad laughter. A woman's voice and men's voices. But he knocks, and she opens. "It is I, my sister." Have no doubt it is fear in her eyes. She steps back, and makes no move towards him. She turns and says something that he cannot hear. Chairs are moved, and other things are taken. She turns to him. "I am making ready, my brother." They stand and look at each other, he anxious, she afraid. She turns and looks back into the room. A door closes, and she says, "Come in, my brother." Only then does she reach out her hand to him. It is cold and wet. There is no life in it. They sit down. She is silent upon her chair. "I have come,"
he said.
It is good.
You did not write.
No, I did not write.
Where is your husband?
I have not found him, my brother.
But you did not write.
That is true, indeed.
Did you not know we were anxious?
I had no money to write.
Not 2 pence for a stamp? She does not answer him. She does not look at him. But I hear you are rich.
I am not rich.
I hear you have been in prison.
That is true, indeed.
Was it for liquor? She comes suddenly to life. She must do something. She cannot keep so silent. She tells him she was not guilty. There was some other woman. You stayed with this woman?
Yes.
Why did you stay with such a woman?
I had no other place.
And you helped her with her trade?
I had to have money for the child.
Where is the child? She looks round. She gets up and goes to the yard. She calls, but the voice that was once so sweet has a new quality in it, the quality of the laughter that he heard in the house. She is revealing herself to him.
I have sent for the child, she says.
Where is it?
It shall be fetched,
she says. Her eyes show she is uncomfortable. The anger rises up in him. Where shall I sleep? He asks. The fear in her eyes is clear. Now she will reveal herself, but his anger masters him, and he does not wait for it. You have shamed us, he says in a low voice. A liquor seller, a woman of the streets, with a child, and you do not know where it is. Your brother a priest. How could you do this to us? She looks at him. I have come to take you back. She falls on the floor and cries. Her cries become louder and louder. She has no shame. They will hear us, he says, and she tries to control her crying. Do you wish to come back? She nods her head.
I do not like Johannesburg, she says. I am sick here. The child is sick also.
Do you wish with your heart to come back? She nods her head again. She cries too.
I do not like Johannesburg, she says.
She looks at him helplessly, and his heart beats faster with hope.
I am a bad woman, my brother. I do not deserve to go back.
His eyes fill with tears. His deep gentleness returns to him. God forgives us, he says. Who am I not to forgive? Let us pray. They knelt down, and he prayed. Then, peacefully, they sat hand in hand. And now I ask for your help, he said. Our child, have you not heard of him?
I did hear of him, brother. He was working at some big place in Johannesburg, and he lived in Sophiatown, but where, I am not sure. But I know who will know. The son of our brother John and your son were often together. He will know.
I shall go there. And now, my sister, I must see if Mrs. Lithaby has a room for you. Have you many things?
Not many. This table and those chairs and a bed, and a few dishes and pots, that is all.
I shall find someone to fetch them. You will be ready.
My brother, here is the child.
Into the room came a little boy, his sister's son. His clothes were dirty, and his nose was dirty, and he put his finger in his mouth, and looked at his uncle out of wide eyes. Khumalo lifted him up, and wiped his nose clean, and kissed him. It will be better for the child, he said. He will go to a place where the wind blows, and where there is a school for him.
It will be better,
she agreed. I must go, he said. There is much to do. He fetched her with a lorry that afternoon, while a crowd of interested neighbours discussed the affair loudly and openly. He was glad when the lorry was loaded and they left. Mrs. Lithaby showed them their room, and gave the mother and child their food, and that night they held prayers, Khumalo, Mrs. Lithebe, and Gertrude. Khumalo himself was light-hearted like a boy, more so than he had been for years. One day in Johannesburg, and already the tribe was being brought together again, the house and the soul restored. Chapter 7. John Khumalo. Gertrude's dress, even though she might once have been rich, was dirty, and made him ashamed. Although his money was little, he bought her a red dress, also a shirt and a pair of short trousers for the boy. In his pocket was his post office book, and there was £10 there that he and his wife were saving to buy the oven, for that, like any other woman, she had long been wanting to have. To save £10 from a salary of £8 a month takes much patience and time, especially for a priest, who must dress in good black clothes. It was a pity about the £10, but it would sooner or later have to be broken into. Strange that she had saved nothing from her sad employment, which brought in much money, it was said. Gertrude was helping Mrs. Lithebe in the house, and he could hear her singing a little. The small boy was playing in the yard. The sun was shining, and even in this great city there were birds singing. But there was Msimangu coming up the street, so Khumalo put aside the letter he was writing to his wife. "Are you ready, my friend?" "Yes, I am ready." They walked up the street, and down another, and up yet another. It was true what they said, that you could go up one street and down another till the end of your days, and never walk the same one twice. "Here is your brother's shop. You see his name. Shall I come with you?" "Yes, I think it would be right." His brother John was sitting there in a chair, talking to two other men. He had grown fat, and sat with his hands on his knees like a chief. His brother he did not recognize, for the light from the street was on the backs of his visitors. "Good morning, my brother." "Good morning, sir." "Good morning, my own brother, son of our mother." John Khumalo looked closely at him, and stood up with a great welcoming smile. "My own brother? Well, well, who can believe? What are you doing in Johannesburg?" Khumalo looked at the visitors. "I came on business," he said. "I am sure my friends will excuse us." The two men rose, and they all said stay well and go well. "Do you know the Reverend Msimangu, my brother?" "Well, well, everybody knows the Reverend Msimangu. Sit down, gentlemen. I think we must have some tea." He went to the door and called into the place behind. "Is your wife Esther well, my brother?" John Khumalo smiled his friendly, knowing smile. "My wife Esther has left me these 10 years, my brother." "And have you married again?" "Well, well, not what the church calls married, you know, but she is a good woman." "You wrote nothing of this, brother." "No, how could I write? You people in Ndocheni do not understand the way life is in Johannesburg. I thought it better not to write." "But I do not understand. How is life different in Johannesburg?" "Well, that is difficult. Do you mind if I speak in English? I can explain these things better in English." "Speak in English then, brother." "You see, I have had an experience here in Johannesburg. It is not like Ndocheni. One must live here to understand it." He looked at his brother. "Something new is happening here," he said. He did not sit down, but began to speak in a strange voice, and he walked about. "Down in Ndocheni, I am nobody, just as you are nobody, my brother. I am subject to the chief, who is an uneducated man. I must show respect to him, but he is an uneducated man. Here in Johannesburg, I am a man of some importance, of some influence. I have my own business, and when it is good, I can make 10, 12 pounds a week. He was not speaking to them. He was speaking to people who were not there. I do not say we are free here. I do not say we are free as men should be. But at least I am free of the chief. At least I am free of an old and foolish man who is nothing but a white man's dog. He is a trick to hold together something that the white man desires to hold together. He smiled his knowing smile, and for a moment spoke directly to his visitors. But it is not being held together, he said. It is breaking apart, your tribal society. It is here in Johannesburg that the new society is being built. Something is happening here, my brother. He paused for a moment. Then he said, I do not wish to offend you, gentlemen, but the church, too, is like the chief. You must do so and so and so. You are not free to have an experience. A man must be faithful and obedient, and he must obey the laws, whatever the laws may be. It is true that the church speaks with a fine voice, and that the bishops speak against the laws. But this they have been doing for 50 years, and things get worse, not better. His voice grew louder, and he was again talking to people who were not there. Here in Johannesburg, it is the mines, he said. Everything is the mines. These high buildings, this beautiful city with its beautiful houses, all this is built with the gold from the mines. This beautiful hospital for Europeans is built with the gold from the mines. There was a change in his voice. It became louder, like the voice of a bull or a lion. Go to our hospital, he said, and see our people lying on the floors. They lie so close you cannot step over them. But it is they who dig the gold. For 3 shillings a day. We come from our tribes from all over South Africa. We live in the compounds. We must leave our wives and families behind. And when the new gold is found, it is not we who will get more for our labor. It is the white men who will become rich. They go mad when new gold is found. They bring more of us to live in the compounds, to dig under the ground for 3 shillings a day. They do not think, here is a chance to pay more for our labor. They only think, here is a chance to build a bigger house and buy a bigger car. It is important to find gold, they say, for all South Africa is built on the mines. His voice grew deep. It was like thunder that was rolling. But it is not built on the mines, he said. It is built on our backs, on our hard work. Every factory, every theater, every beautiful house, they are all built by us. And what does a chief know about that? But here, in Johannesburg, they know. He stopped and was silent. And his visitors were silent also, for there was something in this voice that forced one to be silent. And Stephen Khumalo sat silent, for this was a new brother that he saw. John Khumalo looked at him. The bishop says it is wrong, he said, but he lives in a big house, and his white priests get 4, 5, 6 times what you get, my brother. He sat down and took out a large red cloth to wipe his face. That is my experience, he said. That is why I no longer go to church. And that is why you do not write any more? Well, it could be the reason. That and your wife Esther? Yes, both perhaps. It is hard to explain in a letter. Our customs are different here. And Msimango said, "Are there any customs here?" John Khumalo looked at him. "There is a new thing growing here," he said. "Stronger than any church or chief. You will see it one day." "And your wife? Why did she leave?" "Well, well," said John Khumalo with his knowing smile. "She did not understand my experience." "You mean," said Msimango coldly, "that she believed in being faithful?" John looked at him suspiciously. "Faithful?" he said. The anger showed on his great bull neck, and who knows what words might have been spoken, but Stephen Khumalo was quick to interrupt. "Here is the tea, my brother. That is kind of you." The woman was not introduced, but took round the tea quietly. When she had gone, Khumalo spoke to his brother. "I have listened carefully to you. Much of what you say makes me sad. Partly because of the way you say it, and partly because much of it is true. And now I have something to ask you. But I must tell you first that Gertrude is with me here. She is coming back to Ndotcheni." "Well, well, I shall not say it is a bad thing. Johannesburg is not a place for a woman alone. I myself tried to persuade her, but she did not agree. So we did not meet any more." "And now I must ask you, where is my son?" John looked a little uncomfortable. He took out his cloth again. "Well, you have heard, no doubt, he was friendly with my son. Well, you know how these young men are. You see, my son did not agree well with his second mother. Many times I tried to arrange matters, but I did not succeed. So he said he would leave. He had good work, so I did not stop him. And your son went with him." "Where, my brother?" "I do not know exactly, but I heard that they had a room in Alexandra. Now, wait a minute. They were both working for a factory. I remember, the Doornfontein Company in Krause Street." They said their goodbyes and went out into the street. "Ha, there you have it," said Msimango. "He is a big man in this place, your brother. His shop is always full of men, talking as you have heard. But they say you must hear him at a meeting, he and Dubala. They say he speaks like a bull and makes noises in his throat like a lion, and could make men mad if he wanted to. But for that they say he has not enough courage, for he would surely be sent to prison. I shall tell you one thing," Msimango continued, "because the white man has power. We too want power. But I see only one hope for our country, and that is when white men and black men, desiring neither power nor money, but desiring only the good of their country, come together to work for it. And I have one great fear in my heart, that one day, when the white man has turned to loving, he will find we have turned to hating. But this is not the way to get to Doornfontein," he said. "Come, let us hurry." But they were not successful at Doornfontein, although the white men were kind to them, and said that when Absalom Khumalo left the factory some 12 months before, he was staying with a Mrs. Ndela at 105 N Street, Sophiatown. So they returned to Sophiatown, and indeed found Mrs. Ndela at 105 N Street. But Absalom was not there, she said. But wait, she had had a letter from him, asking about the things he had left behind. And while she was searching in a box of papers for the letter, Msimango saw her stop in her search for a moment, and look at Khumalo, half questioningly and half with pity. At last she found the letter, and she showed them the address. With a Mrs. Mkhize, 79 23rd Avenue, Alexandra. Then they must drink a cup of tea, and it was dark before they rose to leave, and the husband stepped out with Khumalo into the street. Why did you look at my friend with pity? Asked Msimango of the woman. She dropped her eyes, then raised them again.
He is an Umfundisi, she said. I did not like his son's friends, nor did my husband. That is why he left us.
I understand you. Was there anything worse than that?
No, I saw nothing, but I did not like his friends.
Good night, mother.
Good night, Umfundisi.
Out in the street they said goodbye to the husband and set off back to the mission house. Tomorrow, said Msimango, we go to Alexandra. Khumalo put his hand on his friend's arm. The things are not happy that brought me to Johannesburg, he said, but I have found much pleasure in your company. Huh? Said Msimango. We must hurry or we shall be late for our food. Chapter 8. The Journey to Alexandra. The next morning, Msimango and Khumalo took a bus which set them down at the place where Khumalo had lost his pound. Then they walked to the bus rank for Alexandra. But here they met an unexpected problem, for a young man came up to them and said to Msimango,
Are you going to Alexandra, Umfundisi?
Yes, my friend.
We are here to stop you, Umfundisi. Not by force, you see,
he pointed. The police are there to prevent that. But by persuading you. If you use this bus, you are weakening the cause of the black people. We have determined not to use these buses until the fare is brought back again to 4p. Yes, indeed, I have heard of it. He turned to Khumalo. I was very foolish. I had forgotten that there were no buses. At least I had forgotten that people were not using the buses. Our business is very urgent, said Khumalo humbly. Our business is also urgent, said the man politely. They want us to pay 6p. That is 1 shilling a day, 6 shillings a week, and some of us only get 35 or 40 shillings. Is it far to walk? Asked Khumalo.
It is a long way, Umfundisi. Almost 18 kilometers.
That is a long way for an old man.
Men as old as you are doing it every day, Umfundisi. And women, and some that are sick, and children. They start walking at 4 in the morning, and they do not get back till 8 at night. They have a little food, and their eyes are hardly closed before they must stand up again. Sometimes to start off again with nothing but hot water in their stomachs. I cannot stop you taking a bus, Umfundisi, but this is a cause to fight for. If we lose it, then they will have to pay more in Sophiatown and other places.
I understand you well. We shall not use the bus. The man thanked them and went to another traveller to persuade him. That man has a silver tongue, said Khumalo. That is the famous Dubala, a friend of your brother John. They say your brother has the voice, but that this man has the heart. He is the one the government is afraid of, because he himself is not afraid. He wants to make trouble. They say he has given up his own work to do this, and his wife does the other bus rank at Alexandra. That is something to be proud of. They were church people, but are so no longer. Like your brother, they say the church has a fine voice, but does nothing. Well, my friend, what do we do now? I am willing to walk. 18 kilometers and 18 kilometers back? It is a long journey. I am willing. You understand I am anxious. This Johannesburg, it is no place for a boy to be alone. Good. Let us begin then. So they walked many kilometers through the city. After a long time, a car stopped, and a white man spoke to them. Where are you two going? He asked. To Alexandra, sir, said Msimango, taking off his hat. I thought you might be. Climb in. That was a great help to them, and at the turn to Alexandra, they got out and said their thanks. It is a long journey, said the white man, and I know that you have no buses." They stood to watch him go on, but he did not go on. He turned his car round and was soon on the road back to Johannesburg. "Huh?" said Msimango. "That is something." It was still a long way to 23rd Avenue, and as they passed one avenue after the other, Msimango explained that Alexandra was outside the boundaries of Johannesburg and was a place where a black man could buy land and own a house. But the streets were not cared for, and there were no lights, and so great was the demand for houses that every man, if he could, built rooms in his yard and let them to others. Many of these rooms were the hiding places of thieves, and there was much sex and drinking. At last they came to the house they were looking for. A woman opened the door to them. She gave them no greeting, and when they stated their business, she let them in without enthusiasm. "You say the boy has gone, Mrs. Mkhize?" "Yes. I do not know where he has gone." "When did he go?" "These many months. A year it must be." "And had he a friend?" "Yes, another Khumalo, the son of his father's brother, but they left together." "And do you not know where they went?" "They talked of many places, but you know how these young men talk." "How did he behave himself, this young man Absalom?" Khumalo asked her. Have no doubt it is fear in her eyes. Have no doubt it is fear now in his eyes also. It is fear here in this house. "I saw nothing wrong," she said. "Then why are you afraid?" "I am not afraid," she said. "Then why do you tremble?" asked Msimango. "I am cold," she said. She looked at them carefully. "We thank you," said Msimango. "Stay well." "Go well," she said. Out in the street, Khumalo spoke. "There is something wrong. I do not deny it. My friend, 2 of us are too many together. Turn left at the big street and wait for me there." Heavy-hearted, the old man went, and Msimango returned to the house. She opened again to him, just as before. "I am not from the police," he said. "I wish to have nothing to do with them. But there is an old man suffering because he cannot find his son." "That is a bad thing," she said. But she spoke just words, not her feelings. "It is a bad thing," he said, "and I cannot leave you until you have told me what you would not tell." "I have nothing to tell," she said. "You have nothing to tell because you are afraid, and you do not tremble because it is cold." "And why do I tremble?" she asked. "That I do not know, but I shall not leave you till I discover it. And if it is necessary, I shall go to the police after all, because there will be no other place to go." "It is hard for a woman who is alone," she said. "It is hard for an old man seeking his son." "I am afraid," she said. "He is afraid also. Could you not see he is afraid?" "I could see it, Mfundisi." "Then tell me, what sort of a life did they lead here, these 2 young men?" But she kept silent, with the fear in her eyes. He could see that she would be hard to move. "I am a priest. Would you not take my word?" But she kept silent. "Have you a Bible? I will swear to you on that." But she kept silent till he said again, "I will swear to you on the Bible." So, getting no peace, she went to a room behind and returned with the Bible. "I am a priest," he said. "My yes has always been yes, and my no, no. But because you desire it, and because an old man is afraid, I swear to you on this book that no trouble will come to you of this, for we seek only a boy." "What sort of a life did they lead?" "They brought many things here, Mfundisi, in the late hours of the night. They were clothes, and watches, and money, and food in bottles, and many other things. Was there ever blood on them?
I never saw blood on them, Mfundisi.
That is something. Only a little, but something. And why did they leave?
I do not know, Mfundisi, but I think they were near to being discovered.
And you do not know where they are gone?
No, but they were friendly with the taxi driver, Khabeni. Near the bus rank he lives. Everyone knows him.
For that I give you thanks. Stay well, Mrs. Mkize. He met Kumalo at the corner, and they soon found Khabeni, the taxi driver, sitting in his taxi. Good afternoon, my friend, said Msimango.
Good afternoon, Mfundisi.
I want a taxi, my friend. What do you charge to Johannesburg?
For you, Mfundisi, I should charge 11 shillings.
It is a lot of money.
Another taxi would charge you 15 or 20 shillings.
The man was about to start his engine, but Msimango said, I am told that you can help me to find a young man, Absalom Kumalo. I have no doubt, too, that this man is afraid. But Msimango is quick to explain to him. I am not here for trouble, he said, but my friend is the father of this young man, and he has come from Natal to find him.
Yes, I knew this young man.
And where is he now, my friend?
I heard he had gone to live in Shantytown.
There you have helped me, my friend. Come, we shall take your taxi. They climbed in, and the taxi drove out of Alexandra onto the broad high road. You see the bicycles. These are the thousands of Alexandra people returning home after their work, and soon we shall see thousands of them walking because of the trouble with the buses. And true, they had not gone far before the streets were full of the walking people. Many of the white people stopped their cars and took in the black people to help them on their journey to Alexandra. They saw the police trying to prevent this, and once when they stopped, they heard one policeman ask a white man if he had a license to carry the black people. I am asking no money, said the white man. But you are carrying passengers on a bus route, said the officer. Then take me to court, said the white man. But they heard no more than that, for they had to move on with the traffic. Then take me to court, repeated Msimango quietly. Then take me to court. Chapter 9. All roads lead to Johannesburg. All roads lead to Johannesburg. If you are white or if you are black, they lead to Johannesburg. If the crops fail, there is work in Johannesburg. If there are taxes to be paid, there is work in Johannesburg. If the farm is too small to be divided further, some must go to Johannesburg. If there is a child to be born that must be born in secret, it can be born in Johannesburg. The black people go to Alexandra or Sophiatown or Orlando and try to hire rooms or to buy a share of a house. Have you a room that you could let? No, I have no room. Have you a room that you could let? It is let already. Have you a room that you could let? They say there are 10,000 of us in Orlando alone living in other people's houses. Do you hear what Dubala says? That we must put up our own houses here in Orlando. And where do we put up the houses? On the open ground by the railway line, Dubala says. And of what do we build the houses? Anything you can find, sacks and wood and grass from the grasslands and sticks from the field. And when it rains? When it rains, they will have to build us houses. It is foolishness. What shall we do in the winter? 6 years waiting for a house, and the houses grow still fuller, for the people still come to Johannesburg. This night they are busy in Orlando. I shall carry the iron, and you, my wife, the child, and you, my son, 2 sticks and many sacks, down to the land by the railway lines. Many people are moving there. You can hear the sound of digging and hammering already. It is good that the night is warm and there is no rain. Thank you, Mr. Dubala. We are satisfied with this piece of ground. Thank you, Mr. Dubala. Here is our shilling for the committee. Shantytown is up overnight. What a surprise for the people when they wake in the morning. The newspapers are full of us. This great village of sack and wood and iron, with no rent to pay, only a shilling to the committee. Shantytown is up overnight. The child coughs badly, and her face is as hot as fire. The cold wind comes through the sacks. What shall we do in the rain, in the winter? Quietly, my child. Do not cough any more. Your mother is by you. But the child coughs badly. Her face is hotter than fire. What shall we do in the rain, in the winter? Already some of them are saying, Look at those houses over the hill, which they have started to build because we built Shantytown. They are not finished, but the roofs are on. One night we shall move there and be safe from the rain and the winter. Chapter 10. The Reformatory. And this is Shantytown, my friend. Khumalo looked around at the houses. A sheet of iron, a few bits of wood, sack and grass, an old door from some forgotten house. There is a smell of food. There is a sound of voices. The sun shines warmly down from the cloudless sky. But what will they do when it rains? What will they do when it is winter? See, there is one of our black nurses. Does she not look well in her uniform? The white people are training more and more of them. It is strange how we move forward in some things and go backward in others. Yet, in this matter of nurses and doctors, we have many friends among the white people. Good morning, nurse. Did you ever know a young man, Absalom Khumalo? Yes, I did, but he is not here now. He stayed at that house over there. The woman of the house smiled at them in a friendly way. Mother, we are looking for a lad, Absalom Khumalo. He stayed with me, Mfundisi. We took pity on him because he had no place to go, but I am sorry to tell you that they took him away, and the magistrate sent him to the reformatory. The reformatory? Yes, the big school, beyond the hospital. It is not too far to walk. I must thank you, Mother. Stay well. Come, my friend. They walked on in silence, for neither of them had any words. Khumalo would have fallen, though the road was straight and even, and Msimango took his arm. Have courage, my brother. Sometimes it seems that I have no more courage. I was afraid of this. Yes, I too was afraid of it. Yes, I remember when you first became afraid, the day at Alexandra, when you sent me on, and you returned to speak again to the woman. What did the woman say to you, my friend? She said that these 2 young men were making trouble. Many goods, white people's goods, came to the house. This reformatory, can they reform there? I do not know. Some people say one thing, some the other, but your friend the priest from England speaks well of it. They came to the reformatory, where one of their own people, a pleasant fellow, asked them what they wanted, and took them to an office where a young white man inquired of them in Afrikaans what was their business. We are looking, sir, for the son of my friend, one Absalom Khumalo, said Msimango in the same language. Absalom Khumalo? Yes, I know him well. Strange, he told me he had no people. Your son told him that he had no people, said Msimango in Zulu. He was no doubt ashamed, said Khumalo. I am sorry, he said to Msimango in Zulu. that I speak no Afrikaans, for he had heard that sometimes they do not like black people who speak no Afrikaans. The young man understood him and said in English, "You may speak what you will. Your son did well here, and I have great hope for his future. You mean, sir, that he is gone?" "Gone, yes. Only 1 month ago. We made an exception in this case, partly because of his good behavior, partly because of his age, but mainly because there was a girl who is going to have a child by him. She came here to see him, and he seemed fond of her and anxious about the child that would be born. And so, after he promised us that he would work for his child and its mother, we let him go." "And is he now married, sir?" "No, Mfundisi, he is not. But everything is arranged for the marriage. This girl has no people, and your son told us he had no people, so I myself have arranged it." "That is good of you, sir. I thank you for them. It is our work. You must not worry too much about this matter, and the fact that they were not married. The real question is whether he will care for them and lead a decent life. I will take you to Pimville, where Absalom and this girl are living. He will not be there, because I have found work for him in the town, and they have given me good reports of him. I persuaded him to open a post office book, and he already has 3 or 4 pounds in it. Indeed, I cannot thank you enough, sir. It is our work," said the young man. At the house in Pimville, they were greeted by a young girl, who herself seemed no more than a child. "We have come to inquire after Absalom," said the young white man. "This Mfundisi is his father." "He went on Saturday to Springs," she said, "and he has not yet returned." The young man was silent for a while, then looked confused or angry. "But this is Tuesday," he said. "Have you heard nothing from him?" "Nothing," she said. "When will he return?" he asked. "I do not know," she said. "Will he ever return?" he asked. "I do not know," she said. She said it hopelessly, as one who is used to waiting, to being left suddenly alone. Khumalo was moved to pity. "What will you do?" he said. "I do not know," she said. Msimango turned to Khumalo. "You can do nothing here," he said. "Let us go. Have you not troubles enough of your own? I tell you there are thousands of such girls in Johannesburg." "You do not understand. I will be the child's grandfather." "Even that you do not know," said Msimango angrily. "And if you were, how many more such have you? Shall we search them out day after day, hour after hour? Will it ever end?" Khumalo stood in the dust like one who has been struck. Then, without speaking any more, he took his seat in the car. They stopped at the gate of the village, and the young white man got out and went into an office. He came back, his face unhappy. "I have telephoned the factory," he said. "It is true. He has not been at work this week." At Orlando they climbed out, and the young man spoke to Khumalo. "I am sorry for this," he said. "I am sorry too, for this end to your work." "Yes, it is my work, but it is your son. Let us not give up all hope. It has happened sometimes that a boy is arrested or is injured and taken to hospital, and we do not know. Do not give up hope, Mfundisi. I will not give up the search." They watched him drive away. "He is a good man," said Khumalo. "Come, let us walk." But Msimango did not move. "I am ashamed to walk with you," he said. "I ask you to forgive my ugly words." "You are forgiven, but I have something to ask of you." Msimango looked at him, searching his face, and then he said, "It is agreed." "What is agreed?" "That I should take you again to see this girl." They walked along the hot road to Orlando, and both fell silent, each, no doubt, with many things in mind. Chapter 11. Murder in Parkwold. It was a pleasant evening at the mission house. Father Vincent, the rosy-cheeked priest, was there, and they talked about the place where Khumalo lived and worked. And the white man, in his turn, spoke about his own country. But even this pleasure was not to be complete, for one of the white priests came in from the city with the evening newspaper and showed them the large black lines. Murder in Parkwold. Well-known city engineer shot dead. Attackers thought to be natives. "This is a terrible loss for South Africa," said the white priest. "For this Arthur Jarvis was a courageous young man, and a great fighter for justice. And it is a terrible loss for the church, too. He was one of the finest of all our young helpers, and was the president of the African Boys' Club here in Claremont." "Perhaps you might have known him," said Father Vincent to Khumalo. "It says that he was the only child of Mr. James Jarvis of High Place, Carisbrooke." "I know the father," said Khumalo sadly. "I mean, I know him well by sight and name, but we have never spoken. His farm is in the hills above Ndocheni, and he sometimes rode past our church, but I did not know the son." He was silent. Then he said, "But I remember there was a small bright boy, and he too sometimes rode on his horse past the church. A small bright boy, I remember, though I do not remember it well." And he was silent again. For who is not silent when someone is dead, who was a small, bright boy? "Shall I read this?" said Father Vincent. "At 1:30 p.m. today, Mr. Jarvis of Plantation Road, Parkwold, was shot dead in his house by someone thought to be a native. Mrs. Jarvis and her 2 children were away, and Mr. Jarvis had stayed at home with a slight cold. It would seem that a native, probably with 2 friends, entered by the kitchen, thinking, no doubt, that there would be no one in the house. The native servant in the kitchen was knocked unconscious, and it would appear that Mr. Jarvis heard the noise and came down to investigate. He was shot dead at close range. 3 native youths were seen waiting in Plantation Road just before the incident occurred. The native servant is lying unconscious in the non-European hospital, and it is hoped that when he becomes conscious, he will be able to give the police important information. His condition is serious, however. The dead man was well known for his interest in the welfare of the non-European sections of the community." A silence falls upon them all. This is no time to talk of the beauty of any country. Sadness and fear and hate, how they rise up in the heart and mind. Cry for the broken tribe, for the law and custom that is gone, and cry for the man who is dead, for the woman and children who have lost him. Cry, the beloved country, these things are not yet at an end. The sun pours down on the earth, on the lovely land that man cannot enjoy. He knows only the fear of his heart. Msimango walked with Khumalo to the gate of the little house of Mrs. Litebi. Khumalo's face was full of suffering. "This thing," he said, "this thing. Here in my heart there is nothing but fear. Fear, fear, fear." "I understand. Yet it is foolish to fear that one thing in this great city, with its thousands and thousands of people. It is not a question of wisdom and foolishness. It is just fear. Come and pray." "There is no prayer left in me. I am silent here inside. I have no words at all." "Good night, my brother." "Good night." There are times, no doubt, when God seems no more to be about the world. Chapter 12. The Search for Absalom. Have no doubt it is fear in the land. For what can men do when so many have grown lawless? Who can enjoy the lovely land? Who can enjoy the 70 years and the sun that pours down on the earth when there is fear in the heart? Who can walk quietly in the shadow of the trees when there is danger? Who can lie peacefully in bed while the darkness holds some secret? There are voices crying, "What must be done?" 100, 1,000 voices. But what do they help if one cries this, and one cries that, and another cries something that is neither this nor that? It's terrible that we have so few police. We must demand more protection. I say we shall always have native crime to fear until the native people of this country have worthy purposes and worthy goals to work for. It is only because they see neither purpose nor goal that they turn to drink and crime. The answer does not lie in more police and more protection. I am sure that increased schooling would cause a decrease in crime among native children. Don't you think that more schooling would only produce cleverer criminals? Why can't they make places where the natives can relax, away from the European districts? And how long will it take them to get there? And how long to get back? How many hours do you give your servants off on a Sunday? Oh, it's too hot to argue. Yes, there are 100 and 1,000 voices crying. But what does one do when one cries this thing and one cries another? Who knows how we shall create a land of peace where there are so many more black than white people? Cry, the beloved country, for the unborn child that will feel our fear. Let him not love the earth too deeply. Let him not laugh too gladly when the water runs through his fingers, nor stand too silent when the setting sun makes red the grasslands with fire. Let him not be too moved when the birds of his land are singing, nor give too much of his heart to a mountain or a valley, for fear will rob him of all if he gives too much.
Mr. Msimango.
Ah, it is Mrs. Ndela of N Street.
Mr. Msimango, the police have been to me. They are looking for the son of the old Umfundisi.
For what, mother?
They did not say, Mr. Msimango.
Is it bad, mother?
It looks bad. I was frightened, Umfundisi, so I gave them the address, Mrs. Mkize, 79, 23rd Avenue, Alexandra, and one said, yes, this woman was known to the police. Did I do wrong, Umfundisi? I was afraid.
You did no wrong, mother. It is the law. We must obey the law. He thanks the simple woman and tells her to go well. He stands for a moment, then turns quickly to go out. But he is too late, for, as he opens his door, Khumalo stands before him. You are going out, my friend. Msimango is silent.
Come in,
said Msimango at last, and he shut the door.
I have just had a visit from Mrs. Ndela. The police came to her house looking for the boy. She gave them the address of Mrs. Mkize.
Why do they want the boy? Asked Khumalo.
That we do not know. I was ready to go there when you came.
You are going alone? The old man asked.
I was going alone, yes. But now that I have told you, you may come also. There are no buses, so we must go by taxi.
I have money. No one must pay but me.
It will take a great deal of money, said Msimango.
Khumalo took out his purse eagerly. Here is my money, he said. We shall use it then. Come, let us look for a taxi. Mrs. Mkize! She drew back, angry. Have the police been here? What did they want?
They wanted the boy.
And where have they gone?
To Shantytown.
She draws back again, remembering. To the address you said you did not know? Said Msimango.
What could I do? She said. It was the police. I did not know the address. Shantytown, I told them.
In Shantytown, at the house they had visited before, Msimango asked, Had the police been here?
They were here, Umfundisi. They wanted the boy.
For what, mother? Did it seem serious?
I do not know, Umfundisi.
And where have they gone?
To the reformatory, Umfundisi.
At the reformatory, the white man was out, and Msimango asked the native deputy, Have the police been here? They have been here. It was now that they left. They wanted the boy, Absalom Kumalu. Why did they want him? Did it seem serious? I do not know. I really could not say. And where did they go? To Pimville, Umfundisi, to the home of the girl. My child, have the police been here?
They have been here. Now they were here. They wanted Absalom, Umfundisi. I told them I had not seen him since Saturday.
And why did they want him? Cried Khumalo. She drew back, frightened.
I do not know, she said.
Did it seem serious? Asked Msimango.
It seemed serious, Umfundisi. What is the trouble? She asked.
We do not know, replied Msimango.
The world is full of trouble, she said. They told me I must let them know if he comes.
Her eyes were full of trouble.
What shall I do? She said.
Tell the police, said Msimango, and tell us also. How much is your charge? Asks Msimango.
£2 and 10 shillings,
says the taxi driver. I should like to help you in this, says Msimango. You are kind, says Khumalo, trembling, but no one must pay but me. And he draws the notes from the few that remain in the purse. You are trembling, my friend. I am cold, very cold. Msimango looks up at the cloudless sky, from which the sun of Africa is pouring down upon the earth. Come to my room, he says. We shall have a fire and make you warm again. Chapter 13. Why Fear the One Thing? That evening, alone in his own room, Khumalo sat and thought. Yes, it was true what Msimango had said. Why fear the one thing in a great city where there were thousands and thousands of people? His son had got into trouble in the great city, where so many others had got into trouble. But that he should kill a man, a white man, there was nothing that he could remember, nothing at all in all the years when his son was a boy that could make it possible for him to do such a terrible thing. Perhaps when his son and the girl were married, they would go back with him to Mdocheni, and then he could try to rebuild what had been broken. Yes, Msimango was right. It was the not knowing that made him fear this one thing in a great city where there were thousands and thousands of people. Chapter 14. The Prison. 2 days later, just as Khumalo was about to call the small boy to play with him, he saw, with the fear catching at him suddenly with a physical pain, Msimango and the young white man coming into the house.
Good afternoon, Umfundisi. Is there a place where we can talk?
Asked the young man. Come to my room, he said, hardly trusting to his voice. In the room he shut the door and stood, not looking at them. I have heard what you fear, said the young man. It is true. And Khumalo could not look at them. He sat down in his chair and fixed his eyes upon the floor. What does one say now? "They will say we let him out too soon," said the young man at last. The other two were not reformatory boys, but it was he who fired the shot. "My friend," said Msimango, in as ordinary a voice as he could find, "one of the two others is the son of your brother." "Do you wish to come to the prison, Umfundisi? I have arranged it for you." And Khumalo nodded. "But my brother first," he said. "I shall show you the way," said Msimango. "And I shall wait at the mission," said the young man. "I shall walk slowly up the street," said Khumalo. "You must tell the women what has happened." Msimango caught him up at the top of the hill and took his arm, and it was like walking with a child or with one that was sick. So they came to the shop. "Do not come further," said Khumalo. "It is I who must do this." Yes, the bull voice was there, loud and confident. His brother John was sitting there on a chair, talking to two other men, sitting there like a chief. "Ah, my brother, it is you. Well, well, I am glad to see you. Will you not come and join us?" "I am sorry, but I come again on business, urgent business." "I am sure my friends will excuse us." So they all said stay well and go well, and the two men left them. "Well, well, I am glad to see you, my brother. And your business? How does it progress? Have you found the wandering boy?" And he laughed at that, a great bull laugh. "He is found, my brother. He is in prison, arrested for the murder of a white man." "Murder?" The man does not joke now. One does not joke about murder, still less about the murder of a white man. "Yes, murder. He broke into a house in a place they call Parkwold and killed the white man who would have prevented him." "What? I remember. Only a day or two ago. On Tuesday?" Yes, he remembers. He remembers, too, that his own son and his brother's son are friends. The blood stands out on the bull neck. Have no doubt it is fear in the eyes. He wipes his face with a cloth. "I am sorry, my brother," says Khumalo. "You mean?" "Yes, he was there also." John Khumalo whispers, "God, God," and again, "God, oh my God." Khumalo puts his hand on his brother's shoulders. "There are many things I could say, but I say only that I know what you suffer. There is a young white man waiting to take me to the prison. Perhaps he would take you also." They set out along the street to the mission house. The old man walks now more steadily. It is the other who seems bent and broken. Father Vincent, the rosy-cheeked priest from England, takes Khumalo's hand in both his own. "Anything," he says, "anything. You have only to ask. I shall do anything." They pass through the great gate in the high wall. John Khumalo is taken to one room, and the young man goes with Stephen Khumalo to another. There the son is brought to them. The old man takes his son's hand in both his own, and the hot tears fall fast upon them. The boy stands unhappy. There is no gladness in his eyes. He twists his head from side to side. "My child, my child." "Yes, my father." "At last I have found you." "Yes, my father." "And it is too late." To this the boy makes no answer, as though he may find some hope in this silence. The father presses him. "Is it not too late?" he asks, but there is no answer. Almost eagerly, "Is it not too late?" he asks. My father. It is what my father says, he answers. I have searched in every place for you. To that also no answer. The old man lets go of his hands, and his son's hands slip from them lifelessly. Why did you do this terrible thing? I do not know, he says. Why did you carry a gun? For safety, he says. This Johannesburg is a dangerous place. A man never knows when he will be attacked. But why take it to this house? And this again cannot be answered. Have they got it, my child? Yes, my father. They have no doubt it was you. I told them, my father. What did you tell them? I told them I was frightened when the white man came, so I shot him. I did not mean to kill him. And your cousin? And the other? Yes, I told them. They came with me, but it was I who shot the white man. Did you go there to steal? And this again cannot be answered. You were at the reformatory, my child. Did they treat you well? They treated me well, he said. And this is your repayment, my child. The young white man comes over, for he does not like to see these two hurting each other. Well, Absalom, why did you leave the work that I got for you? And you, young man, can get no answer. There are no answers to these things. And your girl, the one we let you go to, the girl who you worried over, so that we took pity on you. Absalom cries. Who knows if he cries for the girl he has left, or does he cry for himself? Answer me one thing, my child, says Khumalo. You wrote nothing, sent no message. You went with bad people. You stole and broke in. But why? The boy seizes upon the word that is given him. It was bad people, he says. That is no answer, says Khumalo. But he knows he will get no other this way. The young white man comes to them again. Do you still wish to marry the girl? He asks. Yes, sir. I shall see what I can do, says the young man. I think it is time for us to go. May we come again? Yes, you may come again. We shall ask about it at the gate. Stay well, my child. Go well, my father. They go, and outside the gate they meet John Khumalo. He is feeling better, the big man. Well, well, he says, we must go at once and see a lawyer. A lawyer, my brother? For what should we spend such money? The story is plain. There cannot be doubt about it. What is the story? Asks John Khumalo. The story? These three lads went to a house that they thought was empty. They struck down the servant. The white man heard the noise, and he came to see. And then, my son. Mine, not yours. Shot at him. He was afraid, he says. Well, well, says John Khumalo, that is a story. And he told you this in front of the others? Why not, if it is the truth? John Khumalo seems happier. Perhaps you do not need a lawyer, he said. If he shot the white man, there is nothing more to be said. Will you have a lawyer then? John Khumalo smiles at his brother. Perhaps I shall need a lawyer, he says. For one thing, a lawyer can talk to my son in private. You see, my brother, there is no proof that my son or this other young man was there at all. Yes, John Khumalo smiles at that. He seems quite recovered. Not there at all? But my son, yes, yes. John Khumalo interrupts him and smiles at him. Who will believe your son? He asks. He says it with meaning, with cruel and pitiless meaning. Khumalo looks at his brother, but his brother does not look at him. Indeed, he walks away. Wearily, wearily, Khumalo goes, from the great gate in the wall to the street. "God," he says, "God, do not leave me." Father Vincent's words come back to him. "Anything, anything," he said. "You have only to ask." Then to Father Vincent he will go. Chapter 15. Father Vincent. Khumalo returned to Mrs. Lithaby's tired and unhappy. The two women were silent, and he had no desire to play with the small child. He withdrew into his room to rest before going to the mission house, but there was a knock at the door, and there stood the young white man.
Umfundisi,
said the young man. "About this lawyer. I think you must have a lawyer, not because the truth must not be told, but because I do not trust your brother. You can see what is in his mind. His plan is to deny that his son and the third man were with your son. A lawyer would know whether that will make matters worse or not. And Absalom says that he fired the gun because he was afraid, with no intention of killing the white man. It needs a lawyer to make the court believe that is true." "Yes, I see that." "Do you know of any lawyer, of your church maybe?" "No, sir, I do not. But Father Vincent will know." So they walked to the mission house. "I think I could get a good man to take the case," said Father Vincent. "We are agreed that it is to be the truth and nothing but the truth, and that the defense will be that the shot was fired in fear and not to kill." "And what about the marriage?" asked the young man. "I shall ask him about that also. I would gladly marry them if it can be arranged." Father Vincent put his hand on the old man's arm. "Be of good courage," he said. "Whatever happens, your son will be severely punished, but if his defense is accepted, it will not be the extreme punishment." When the young man had gone, Khumalo said to the English priest, "You can understand this has been a sad journey. At first it was a search, and I was anxious. But as the search went on, step by step, so did the anxiety turn to fear, and this fear grew deeper step by step. But it was here, when we heard of the murder, that my fear grew into something too great to bear." After a pause, he continued, "Msimango said to me, 'Why fear this one thing in a city where there are thousands and thousands of people?' That comforted me, and it did not comfort me. And even now, I can hardly believe that this thing, which happens one time in 1,000, has happened to me. Sometimes, for a moment or two, I can believe that I shall wake and find it has not happened. But it is only for a moment or two. To think," said Khumalo, "that my wife and I lived out our lives there in Ndotcheni, not knowing that this thing was coming step by step. There is a man sleeping there in the grass, and over him is gathering the greatest storm of all his days, bringing death and destruction. People hurry home past him, to places safe from danger, and whether they do not see him there in the grass, or whether they fear to stop even a moment, they do not wake him, they let him be." They were silent a long time. "My friend," said Father Vincent, "your anxiety turned to fear, and your fear turned to sorrow. But sorrow is better than fear. Fear is a journey, a terrible journey, but sorrow is at least an arriving." "And where have I arrived?" asked Khumalo. When the storm threatens, a man is afraid for his house. But when the house is destroyed, there is something to do. About a storm he can do nothing, but he can rebuild a house."
"At my age?" asked Khumalo. "Look what has happened to the house that I built when I was young and strong. What kind of house shall I build now?"
"No one can understand the ways of God," said Father Vincent.
"It seems that God has turned from me," said Khumalo.
"That may seem to happen, but it does not happen. Never, never does it happen."
"I am glad to hear you," said Khumalo quietly, "but my son is now a stranger to me. I cannot touch him. I see no shame in him, no pity for those he has hurt. Tears come out of his eyes, but it seems that he cries only for himself. He who has made 2 children lose their father."
"Stop!" cried Father Vincent. "Go and pray. Go and rest, and do not judge your son too quickly. Pray for Gertrude, and for her child, and for the girl that is to be your son's wife, and for the unborn child. Pray for your wife and all at Ndotcheni. Pray for the soul of him who was killed, and for the woman and children that have lost him. Pray for us at the mission house. Pray for your own rebuilding, and do not fear to pray for your son."
"I hear you,"
said Khumalo quietly, "and give thanks where you can give thanks." He led the old man to the door of the mission. "I shall pray for you," he said, "night and day. That I shall do, and anything more that you ask." Chapter 16. Absalom's Girl. The next day Khumalo went alone to see the girl who was with child by his son. The girl opened the door to him, and she smiled at him uncertainly, with something that was fear and something that was welcoming.
"Have you heard of your husband?"
he asked. The smile went from her face. "I have not heard," she said.
"What I have to say is serious,"
he said.
"He is in prison."
"In prison?"
she said. "He is in prison for the most terrible thing that a man can do."
But the girl did not understand him.
"He has killed a white man."
She cried out and put her hands over her face, and Khumalo himself could not continue, for the words were like knives, cutting into a wound that was still new and open. She sat down on a box and looked at the floor, and the tears started to run slowly down her cheeks.
"I do not wish to speak of it, my child. Can you read the white man's newspaper?"
"A little."
"Then I shall leave it with you. I do not wish to speak of it any more. I have come to speak with you of another matter. Do you wish to marry my son?"
"It is as the Umfundisi sees it."
"Is it truly your wish to marry him? I must be certain. I do not wish to take you into my family if you are unwilling."
At those words, she looked up eagerly. "I am willing," she said.
"We live in a far place," he said. "There are no streets and lights there. There is only me and my wife, and the place is very quiet." "You are a Zulu?"
"Yes, Umfundisi."
"Where are your parents?"
"My father left my mother. They quarreled, Umfundisi, because my mother was so often drunk."
"So your father left, and he left you also? What did you do?"
"I left that house, and I lived in Sophia town."
"Alone?"
"No, not alone."
"With your first husband?" he asked coldly. "How many have there been?"
She laughed nervously. "Only 3, she said.
"And what happened to the first?"
"He was caught by the police, Umfundisi."
"And the second?"
he was caught also.
And now the third is caught also.
He stood up, and a wish to hurt her came into him.
Yes, your third is caught also, but now it is for murder. Have you had a murderer before?
No, no, no,
she cried. And he, seeing her and her thin body, was ashamed for his cruelty.
How old are you, my child?
I do not know, she cried, but I think I am 16.
And deep pity rose up in him.
Tell me, do you truly wish to marry my son?
She reached for his hands.
I wish it,
she said.
And to go to a quiet and far-off place and be our daughter?
I wish it greatly,
she said.
Have you clothes for the marriage?
I have some clothes, Mfundisi.
And you must not live here. I shall find you a place near me. Stay well, then, my child.
Go well, Mfundisi.
He went out of the house, and she followed him to the little gate. When he turned back to look at her, she was smiling at him. He walked on like a man from whom a pain has lifted a little, not altogether, but a little. And he remembered, too, that Father Vincent had said, "I shall pray night and day." At the corner he turned, and, looking back, saw that the girl was still watching him.
Mrs. Litebe, you have heard of this girl who is with child by my son. She wishes to marry my son. Then, whatever may happen, she will go with me to Ndoceni and bear her child there in a clean and decent home.
You would like to bring her here first, Mfundisi?
Indeed, that would be a great kindness. Mother, I am grateful. Indeed, you are a mother to me.
Why else do we live?
She said. Chapter 17. The Lawyer. He passed again through the great gate in the high wall, and they brought the boy to him. Again he took the lifeless hand in his own, and was again moved to tears, this time by the sadness of his son.
Are you in health, my son?
The son looked at one window, then moved and looked at the other, but not at his father.
I have some business for you, my son. Are you certain that you wish to marry this girl?
I can marry her?
There is a friend of mine, a white priest, and he will see if it can be arranged, and he will get a lawyer for you.
There is still some life in the eyes, of some hope, maybe.
You would like a lawyer?
They say one can be helped by a lawyer.
You told the police that these other two were with you?
I told them, and now I have told them again, and then they fetched them from their cells, and they were angry with me, and shouted at me in front of the police, and said that I was trying to bring them into trouble.
And then?
And then they asked what proof I had, and the only proof I had was that it was true. It was these two and no other. Then they shouted at me again, and said one to the other, "How can he lie so about us?"
They were your friends?
Yes, they were my friends.
And they will leave you to suffer alone?
Now I see it.
Be of courage, my son. Do not forget there is a lawyer, but it is only the truth you must tell him.
I shall tell him only the truth, my father. He must come soon, my father, or it may be too late, he said.
Have no fear of that. He will come soon, and Father Vincent will come to see you. And the marriage, that will be arranged. And the girl, I had not told you she is living with me in Sophiatown. And she will come back with me to Ndoceni, and the child will be born there.
It is good, my father.
And you may write now to your mother.
I shall write, my father.
And wipe away your tears.
The prison guard said to the boy,
You may stay here. There is a lawyer to see you. You, old man, you must go.
Khumalo returned to the mission house and was having tea with Father Vincent when the lawyer came to see them.
I shall take the case for you, Mr. Khumalo, said the lawyer. Pro Deo, as we say. It is a simple case, for the boy says that he fired because he was afraid, not meaning to kill. But with regard to the other two boys, I do not know what to say. I believe your son is speaking the truth. It is for me to persuade the court that your son is speaking the truth. Now, I must have all the facts about your son, Mr. Khumalo, what sort of child he was, whether he was truthful and obedient, and when and why he left home, and what he has done since he came to Johannesburg. You understand?
I understand, sir.
You may thank God that we have got this man, said Father Vincent when the lawyer had gone. He is one of the greatest lawyers in South Africa, and one of the greatest friends of your people.
I do thank God, and you too, Father. But I have one anxiety. What will it cost? My little money is nearly gone.
Did you not hear him say he would take the case pro Deo? That is Latin, and it means for God.
He takes it for God?
Yes, it will cost you nothing, or at least very little.
Khumalo looked at him.
I have never met such kindness, he said quietly.
He turned away his face, for he cried easily these days. Father Vincent smiled at him.
Go well, my friend,
he said.